You know, it'd be easy to sit in my rocking chair all day and do nothing. Sit here, drink a whiskey, watch my dog run around, wait for the kids to get off the bus. But that ain't getting it done. Hello, old friend. We meet again. So if I want to fit those on there, I'm going to need some of that. Let me show you what I'm talking about. So the rear of my Jeep has got Genright fenders. They're the Tracer extended wheelbase LJ corner guards. And they have you cut off about 2.5 inches of inner fender for extra tire clearance. Up front, I still have the factory fenders with these xenon flares, which give you a couple inches of extra clearance, but not anywhere near as much as the rear. So let's take a look at the height from the top of the tire to the fender. So on the front, from the top of the fender, and the bottom of the fender, I got maybe 5.5 inches before I met contact. In the rear, we are showing 9 inches, and maybe a little bit more because it goes backwards as it flexes up. So how am I going to do that? Well, I've got Genright high clearance fenders over there, and basically what they do is we are going to unbolt this front fender, replace it with a fender that moves the fender up from this body line to that body line. Basically taking that 5.5 inches and turning it into 8.5 inches, because that's roughly 3 inches. I think we all can agree, anytime you go from 5 inches to 8 inches, that's a good thing. Men and women will agree, I'm sure. So, let's take it all apart. Oh yeah, what do you got to do with the hood? Fortunately, you get to take an angle grinder and cut 3 inches off of your hood. So that's going to be a fun one. That's going to hurt a little bit. Also for the rear, let's see if I got one out. Oh yeah, I've got Genright's Extreme flares. Keep a little bit of mud off this thing. Let's grab that, show you how that's going to mount. So it's got 1, 2, 3, 4 points of contact, and it's going to sit about like that. So I'm pretty excited for all that. Should make the Jeep look a little bit better. And once I swap those axles in, we should have room to upgrade from the 35s to the 39s and have enough tire clearance to make that work. At least that's the plan. All right, so in order to make all this work, these fenders got to come off. And in order for these fenders to come off, fuse box, air box, air conditioning lines, winch cables, battery, all that's got to come out on that side. Horn, windshield washer fluid, whatever that is, and anything else down there that's clipped to these fenders got to come off. So it's beautiful summer weather, and I hate taking my Jeep apart when it's like this, but it's what's got to be done. All right, 1 hour later, and I've got the driver fender off. Pretty decent job. Most things came off good. I did end up breaking one of these two. So we'll see if that ends up screwing me. I imagine it will. All right, on to the passenger side. I mean, would it even be a project if you didn't have to cut a bolt out? So 3 of the 4 battery tray bolts come out, but the 4th won't come out, which doesn't let me get to the Fender firewall bolts back in there. So get that out, we'll use the old grinder. And if that doesn't work, a hammer. And if that doesn't work, a torch. All right, well, 1 more hour later, and you know, a little bit of dirt and grease. We got them all off. This one didn't break any on this side, so might be in decent shape. That's about as far as I'm gonna get today, because I gotta go run and pick up my daughter from the bus stop. So 24 hours later, maybe in the morning, I'll be back. But for you, it'll be like that. I don't know, something like that. Like, I don't know, or next. All right, new day. Don't feel it. Don't feel it at all today. Got some coffee. Trying to help some things out, but I'm not sure I'm feeling like doing nothing. It's supposed to be 91 degrees today. It's 9:30 in the morning. Got my kids off to school. It's probably already 78 degrees. So, I don't know. We'll keep going, marching along, because dang it, I got to get this done. Actually, now's a decent time to bring up this point. Is anyone else extremely hesitant to take their Jeep apart, knowing or just feeling anxious about it not getting put back together the right way, or missing out on events or you know, seat time? In Michigan, we've only got about 16 weeks a year where the weather is worth a dang, and it makes you just really want to make sure that during that time you don't miss a Cars and Coffee, you don't miss a wheeling event, you get to drive with the top down as much as you can, because you know you've got cold weather and you've got salt at that you just, you know, there's half the year that you don't get to use your Jeep. So, or at least mine. Some people drive them year round, and those ones are rotted in half in 7 years. So anybody else have that? I'm just wondering. Comment below if you want. Now, I could sit here and whine about it, or I guess I could go out there and start working. So, like I said earlier, whining ain't getting it done. So let's get back to work. But first, alright, so upon opening all of the boxes, I'm already met with quite a few issues. So, nothing that won't be overcomable, but things that will take, well, a lot more time than I thought. So, I was hoping, you know, maybe a 1 day to put these on. I got 3 hours into taking the old fenders off, and after opening and kind of looking through things, first issue was some of the mounting stuff that is steel came unpainted, so can't put on raw metal. So those are painted, waiting to dry and flip over and multi-coat. Next issue that we have is I purchased all Genright stuff hoping that it would all work together. Those are Genright corner guards and Genright rocker guards. However, when we go to put our fender on, you can see that these aren't going to play nice together. That's not going to run into there. So, or that will run into there. That's got to be mounted, sorry, right there. So I've got to trim those rocker guards back, and I've got to come up with a way to do it. Hold on, set that expensive thing back down before I break it, so that these two fit nicely together and don't look like a third grader installed them. Let's see, I think that's some of the starting issues, and then we've got a whole lot of parts. We've got brackets, we've got instructions to go through. So I watched a quick video of this and it looked not hard, although upon looking at it now it seems a lot harder. In case you're wondering how many bolts hold your fenders on, that many. And I'm not sure how many you reuse, but it sounds like a bunch. So here we go. I can't tell if I screwed up. So I had that interference with the rocker guard, and so I went ahead and I trimmed it back. And I don't know if you can see, this is the first test fit, but I trimmed it back so that it would fit right next to it. However, maybe I should have left this little bit here and tried to I don't know. I think from a distance, it's gonna look fine, and maybe once I paint some things, I'm not entirely sure if I want to paint the flare or not. But as you can see how much higher they sit, I've now probably got that 8 inches or 9 inches we were talking about in the back. I could grab my tape measure if I could find it. There it is. Top of the tire to top of the fender. And we've got at least 9.5, 10. So that's showing you how much clearance we just gained, as well as quite a bit of clearance at the back that lets us turn and flex up in there and not rub the back of the fender. So I'm going to keep on going with the install. There's quite a bit left to do, but wanted to show you at least that one update. And if you trim, don't screw it up like me. Put a little half radius or something in there and see if you can get them to fit a little tighter. All right, well, Amateur Mechanic continues on. Well, I guess I got to thank you guys for this one, because I probably wouldn't have gone this extra step if I wasn't documenting it. So as you can see, I cut a little piece out, welded it in to fill that little corner gap, and I feel like a little bit more grinding, a little bit of paint, and we've got a decent fit there. That I can deal with, that I can love. So I guess thanks for holding me accountable. All right, just one more side, and then 75 other things. Probably finish by winter. All right, so as a way to attempt to replicate what we have going on here, taken this, tucked it in behind, and traced it. Now hopefully I can transfer that to that other side and make it work. Probably not. And that's basically it. Gotta cut all that off and leave that nice round edge down here. Round it out a little bit with a grinder, and hopefully that tube will fit nice. Made some pretty good progress in the last little bit. I've assembled both inner fenders. I put the fenders on and taken them off a few different times. Trimmed and painted my rocker guards so that they fit nicely on both sides. Also installed, you can see, install this light battery box. And one of the things is with a lot of this stuff is you end up taking it on, putting it off, test fitting it, realizing you installed something backwards. The instructions, without being too harsh, could be better. They definitely could be. There's some different versions of this. Some that use an inner fender, some that don't use an inner fender. And the instructions seem to kind of talk about both without always telling you what instructions apply to which scenario. Also, there apparently at one time was a different version of that battery box that was in multiple pieces, and that one's only in 2, which is multiple, but yeah, there was one part where there was like 7 pieces put together. And so when you're trying to put something together and you're opening all these boxes and there's all these hardware, it'd be better if the hardware or if the pieces were labeled and it corresponded with the instructions. But regardless, that just kind of takes a little bit more time to go through things. So far, I feel like we're making pretty good stuff or progress, but I think it is going to be a multi-day affair here. I'm running out of time before I got to get to the bus stop and pick my daughter up, and I guess you dads know what that's like, having to jump from one project to another. So let's see if tonight I can get some hood cutting videos, because that's kind of a fun one. And then after that, everything kind of goes back together and just starts mounting. But got it. Hope I measured right. All right, moment of truth. I think I trimmed this all correctly. Measured the exact 3 inches. I lined up my body line. And how we doing? No, I think that's gonna hit. All right, that's gonna hit. Not a fail, just a delay. So thanks for tuning in this week. Really appreciate it. This is quite a difficult install. Just a lot of little parts and a lot of fitting things together. So I'm gonna keep working on it, and hopefully in next week's video I can knock it out for you. So really appreciate you watching. If you like the video, please like the video, comment, and tell me I'm doing something wrong, or help me out and show me what I could do better. So hope all is well with you. Take care. Bye.